yearn and strive for government, protecting our liberty.
Hello, my name is Gwen Meunier. I'm chair of the Leominster Republican Committee. We're here today with a local voter who's reached out to us looking for information about the upcoming special election on December 5th. Hi, Donna. I understand you wanted to learn more about Dean Tran?
Yes, Gwen. Thank you so much for meeting with me today. I've read a lot of things in the paper and online, and I was hoping you could provide some more information about Dean and his background. He seems like an interesting candidate from what I've read.
We would be happy to. He's not just an interesting candidate. Dean Tran has a compelling story that most people don't know. I'd be happy to share that with you now.
Okay, Gwen, I appreciate that.
Dean Tran was born in Vietnam. Most people don't know that. His father was a 25-year Army veteran fighting communism. When the communists overran the country, they had to sell everything and flee the country. They actually left the country in a wooden boat and had to live in a refugee camp for 2 years while they initiated the green card process to legally emigrate into the United States.
Wow, that seems like a really long story.
Once approved, they moved to the United States and were sponsored by a Catholic priest in Clinton. They lived there. Dean went to elementary school there and a year of middle school before the family moved to Fitchburg. He attended Fitchburg Public Schools and went on to Brandeis University. He ended up graduating in 1997 with a degree in American Studies and Computer Science. After he graduated, he moved to Boston for a couple of years and then moved back to Fitchburg.
I've also read in the paper that he has served the city of Fitchburg, and he's also on the Cable Oversight Committee and the Planning Board, as well as the Wallace Civic Center.
He served as a city councilor at large in Fitchburg since 2006. And while he's been in that capacity, every election, Dean Tran has consistently received more support and votes than any of the other councilors. He also authored the sex offender prohibition ordinance to help protect our children from sexual predators.
Wow, is there anywhere else in the community that Dean has served or volunteered his time?
Yes, he is very busy in our community. He's a trustee at Mount Wachusett Community College. He's a member of the executive board of the Nashua Valley Council for Boy Scouts of America, and he's a corporator for the YMCA.
Wow, it seems like Dean's very busy in his community, and the Fitchburg people are really happy with the job he is doing.
They are, and you may not also know that he has 23 years in the private sector managing projects and people on 3 continents.
Geez, with the private sector and the government experience, Dean really is an impressive candidate to be our state senator.
I would say he's an ideal candidate to be our next state senator. Dean is also a dedicated family man. He met his wife, Carrie, when he was a teaching assistant at the University of Maine. They were married in 2001, and they have 4 wonderful children. Their oldest daughter, Isabel, is currently a sophomore at UMass Amherst. Olivia is currently attending Fitchburg High School. And the 2 youngest, Madeline and Dean, are currently attending Crocker Elementary School.
My oldest one is attending her second year at UMass at Amherst. My other 3 are still attending the schools in the district, the public schools. I'm an advocate and a big supporter for additional funding for our schools. I think it's a big part in educating our children in order to have the kind of workforce we need in terms of competing with other countries. Fitchburg is surrounded by 2 incredible and tremendous colleges. That's the Mount Wachusett Community College and Fitchburg State University. I'm all in favor of making sure that these universities and colleges have the resources available to them in order to provide the kind of education we need to have the students be able to support the communities that they graduate from. On the local level, as you know, Chapter 70 is not well funded. The last time that the state legislature made any changes to Chapter 70 was back in 2007. We need to look at that. The formula is archaic, and it's not equitable for the communities that it's supposed to serve. It needs tweaking, little tweaking such as allowing the communities to report their students after the February 1st instead of the current October 1st, because what happened is when schools report the number of students they have at the deadline of October 1st, from there to February 1st, the number changes and the formula, and it has a negative effect on the formula, and the community doesn't get or receive the proper funding that it's supposed to get.
I see you have a card there from Dean. Does it state any of his positions?
It does. He supports tax relief and economic growth. On a recent program, he said that his unique combination of public and private sector experience is going to allow him to sit at the table with businesses and ask them to bring their businesses and jobs to our district. Dean noted that we need to bring new jobs to the area to grow the tax base. He also said that we need new programs that are going to attract businesses to the district. In Fitchburg, he spearheaded a new position for economic development, which has worked out very well there.
I think one of the things that I would like to focus on, and because I have an extensive background on, is being able to bring some kind of tax relief and economic development and economic growth to the district. I believe I'm the only candidate so far on both sides of the aisle that have an extensive background in terms of managing people and products and projects in the private sector. In the last 23 years, I've been managing personnel and projects on 3 continents, being responsible for over $200+ million. And I believe I have the experience to go on the state level, attract businesses and corporations, being able to sit at the table with them and convince them to come to the district. We sorely need jobs in the district. We need to increase the median income in all the communities in order to attract commercial growth. And in the same token, we need to provide incentives and tax reliefs for these businesses to relocate. I know businesses are going through a tough time. They are burdened with a lot of costs, including mandate costs. Some of those costs include insurance, workers' comp, startup fees, and we have to make it easy for businesses to be able to relocate to the district, help us create jobs, and bring people to the cities, to the towns, and grow that tax base that most of the communities are dying for.
I watched the same show and I heard Dean say that we needed to improve our infrastructure. He said we needed additional funding, money for the Chapter 90 program that improves our infrastructure for our bridge and roads.
So I've been driving around across the district campaigning, and believe me, the roads and bridges are in terrible conditions. In the city of Fitchburg, I know the majority of complaints are because of potholes and because of the roads are so badly maintained, or because we don't have funding to maintain them. People have a tendency of ruining their cars, and they have a flat tire and they have a bad muffler, so they complain to the city. I'm a firm believer that we need additional funding for Chapter 90. As you know, the communities, especially those in this district, rely on Chapter 90 monies to pave their roads. Last year, Governor Baker signed an additional funding appropriation of $200 million, which is great, but I believe it's not enough. I think what we need to do is we need to agree on a multi-year bond in order to provide the necessary funding for the communities to pave their roads and fix the bridges. I know that there was a survey done on Chapter 90, and the survey said that on an annual basis, the Commonwealth need about $639 million just to maintain the roads in a repairable conditions. Right now, we don't even come close to that amount. So my hope, and as being the next state senator, I will be pushing for that.
Dean seems to have the correct priorities for this district. Can you tell me about some of his other positions?
Yes, he will also prioritize specialized programs to keep our seniors and veterans safe, and he'll also ensure that our firefighters and police are fully resourced to keep us all safe.
That sounds great, but where is all this money coming from?
Well, first of all, they are out of control in terms of spending. They are people who like to spend up there, but do not create any kind of mechanism in terms of generating new revenue. Coming from a private sector, I do a lot of managing. And part of managing, I prioritize things. And I can tell you one thing that I will be doing as the next state senator. I would look at the priority list. And for example, if there's an additional $18 million sitting on the table and you ask me how to spend that $18 million, I will look at funding schools, funding our road and bridges, funding our police and fire departments, supporting our seniors and veteran care. One thing I won't be doing is voting for a pay raise, and that's exactly what they did up in Beacon Hill. They used that $18 million and voted themselves a pay raise.
From Dean's comments on the LTV program, it looks like between the overrides to the governor's vetoes, which was mostly pork, and the pay raise they voted themselves, that was nearly $300 million that could have been used for infrastructure. We really need a legislator that will work for us and not for themselves.
Former Fitchburg Mayor Dan Mylott conducted that Leominster television interview and gave Dean Tran a great endorsement.
Yes, that was a great endorsement. I look forward to Dean representing the Worcester Middlesex District. The cities and towns in the district are Gardner, Fitchburg, Leominster, Berlin, Bolton, Townsend, Lunenburg, Lancaster, Sterling, Westminster, and Precincts 1 and 2 in Clinton.
I really enjoyed our conversation today, discussion. Thank you very much. I'm really looking forward to Dean Tran representing us as our new state senator. I'd really like to know how to volunteer and how to get a lawn sign for Dean Tran. Could you help me with that?
Why don't we let Dean tell us himself?
The primary election will be on November 7th, and the special election will be on December 5th. You can get in touch with me through my website at deantran.com, or you can call me at 978-855-9622